This week in Jamaica Now, Caricom leaders reassure citizens that proposed the U.S. third country national transit agreements are not intended to allow migrants to settle in member states. Caricom agrees to seek opinion from the Caribbean Court of Justice on the process used to reappoint Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett. Energy Minister Daryl has welcomed the settlement of a defamation lawsuit he brought against People's National Party General Secretary Dayton Campbell. And Jamaica and the sporting world pay tribute to legendary track and field coach Stephen Franno Francis. I'm Karen Madden, and this is Jamaica Now. Caricom leaders are reassuring citizens that proposed agreements with the United States on the transit of third country nationals, or TCNs, are not intended to allow migrants to settle in member states, but simply to facilitate their return to their home countries. The clarification came in a statement issued earlier this week after the Conference of Heads of Government met in caucus to discuss several regional matters, including memoranda of understanding proposed by the United States to individual Caricom countries. The leaders acknowledged concerns about the ability of small Caribbean states to manage the transit of TCNs, but stressed that arrangements must not compromise the regional security or divert essential resources and services from citizens. They emphasized that the proposed agreements relate only to the temporary transit of individuals with no criminal records who are being returned to their countries of origin, underscoring the distinction between transit and permanent settlement. Caricom leaders also agreed that governments should increase public engagement to address concerns and provide accurate information about the proposed arrangements. Reaffirming their commitment to safe, orderly, and regular migration, the heads of government said migrants' dignity must also be respected. According to the statement, some Caricom member states have already signed the agreements, while others are in discussions with the United States government. Meanwhile, Caricom agreed to seek an advisory opinion from the Caribbean Court of Justice in an effort to resolve the disputes surrounding the reappointment of Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett. The decision was announced following the Caricom Heads of Government retreat in St. Lucia on Monday, where Trinidad and Tobago maintained its objection to the process used to reappoint Barnett. In a statement, Caricom said it is initiating the proceedings under Article 212 of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas to obtain an advisory opinion from the CCJ, recognizing the court's role as the treaty's official interpretation body. Pending the court's opinion, the regional bloc said the status quo regarding Barnett's reappointment will remain in place until the community considers the advisory ruling. The heads of government said the agreed approach provides an amicable way to resolve the issue while allowing Caricom to continue conducting its affairs without disruption. The statement stressed that the process should not be viewed as questioning the integrity of any member state or individual, but rather as a demonstration of the community's commitment to good governance and continuous institutional improvement. The leaders also reaffirmed their commitment to Caricom's objectives, pledging to move forward in unity as the region confronts a range of economic and social challenges. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Campbell had objected to the process used to reappoint Barnett, and during the recent meeting proposed that Caricom refer the matter to the CCJ for an advisory opinion. Energy Minister Daryl has welcomed the settlement of a defamation lawsuit he brought against People's National Party General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell, describing the outcome as vindication after what he called a decades-long political smear campaign. Along with former Member of Parliament Othniel Lawrence and St. Thomas Western MP James Robertson, sued Dr. Campbell over the statements he made during the PNP's Clarendon Northwestern Annual Conference in July 2023. Ahead of the scheduled trial in the Supreme Court on Wednesday, the parties reached an amicable settlement. While the terms were not disclosed, Campbell issued what Vaz described as a strong and unequivocal apology, acknowledging that there was no basis for the allegations made against Vaz and his co-claimants.
On or about July 27, 2023, I made statements on the political platform which, upon later reflection, I came to realize could have been interpreted as connecting the Honorable Daryl Vaz to the murder of Diane Smith, as well as an alleged plot to assassinate the then leader of the opposition, Mr. Andrew Holness, in 2015. I intended no malice when the statements were made, but I accept that they had the potential to cause pain and embarrassment to Mr. Vaz and his family. I hereby unequivocally withdraw the statements I made on the aforementioned date because, to the best of my knowledge, the statements and/or innuendos and insinuations contained therein have no foundation in truth and are in fact categorically false. In respect of Diane Smith, I acknowledge that my comment may have been interpreted as giving life to a rumor which started in the 1980s, connecting the Honorable Daryl Vaz to the murder of Diane Smith. This connection was unfortunate because the matter was investigated by law enforcement, and in Mr. Vaz's disclosure to the court in legal proceedings, he produced copies of his passport and college transcript, confirming that Minister Vaz was not in the jurisdiction at the time of the murder. Regarding the alleged plot to assassinate Andrew Holness, I acknowledge that an individual had confessed to lying on Mr. Vaz in a hoax. It is also widely known in the public domain that the individual has been convicted and sentenced for public mischief. I hereby categorically apologize to Mr. Vaz and his family for any pain and embarrassment they may have suffered by my statements, and I agree that I will not repeat the statements or the innuendos and insinuations contained therein at any time in the future.
Following the settlement, Vaz said he was grateful the matter had finally been put to rest after 40 years. Robertson, who described Campbell as a close family friend, also accepted the apology, saying they had shared a long-standing relationship with no previous conflict.
It was genuine. Yeah. It is genuine, and it was genuine, and that's what matters in life, how you move on. We are Christian. We are Christian with principle, and I must tell you, I've had no bad interaction, and I understand what the campaign trail is like. That is 10 months old, and I am willing to apologize to anybody when I trespass from them, and accept your apology wholeheartedly.
Lawrence likewise welcomed the settlement, saying it was in the best interests of the parties, their families, and the country.
Well, as my colleague said, it's something we embrace. The fact that we know each other for a period of time. Dayton and I go way back. My opponent twice, and I know at the end of the day, at times Dayton can say something that's very much frightening. But nevertheless, today we are here to, as grown-ups, to show some level of maturity to what has taken place, and we have settled this situation in the best interest for families, friends, and Jamaica in exchange.
Meanwhile, Campbell said he was pleased that the matter had been resolved and stressed that political differences should never become personal. Jamaica and the international sporting community are mourning the passing of legendary track and field coach Stephen Franno Francis, whose influence helped transform Jamaican athletics into a global powerhouse. Francis, the co-founder and the technical director of MVP Track Club, died on Saturday, a day after celebrating his 64th birthday. Widely regarded as one of the greatest sprint coaches in history, Francis was celebrated for developing world champions and Olympic medalists, often spotting talent where others did not. Leading the tributes, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness described Francis as a patriot whose contribution to brand Jamaica was immeasurable. Opposition leader Mark Golding called him a giant of track and field who proved that world-class athletes could be developed right here in Jamaica. Sports Minister Olivia Grange said Francis was responsible for much of the pride Jamaicans have felt as the country's athletes dominated the world stage. Tributes also came from across the Caribbean, with Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley describing his passing as a regional loss, saying Francis helped turn talent into excellence and Caribbean speed into a language the world could not ignore. Francis co-founded MVP Track Club in 1999, offering Jamaican athletes a successful alternative to the traditional U.S. collegiate route. Over nearly 3 decades, he coached or helped develop some of the sport's biggest stars, including Asafa Powell, Shelley and Fraser Price, Elaine Thompson-Hero, Sharika Jackson, Kishane Thompson, Tajay Gale, and the twins Tina and Tia Clayton. Also included among his stellar list of world beaters are Michael Frater, Nesta Carter, Melaine Walker, Sharon Simpson, Khalees Spencer, Bridget Foster Hilton, Stephanie Ann McPherson, Christine Day, Genevieve Russell, and the late Jermaine Mason. Known for his analytical approach and uncompromising standards, Francis guided Jamaica to dozens of Olympic, World Championship, and Commonwealth Games medals, cementing a legacy that will endure for generations. Born on July 3, 1962, Francis was regarded as an outspoken coach who often clashed with the sports administrators. Government Minister Matthew Samuda is recommending that the Financial Investigations Division, or the FID, rather than the Integrity Commission, be given responsibility for examining the statutory declarations of members of Parliament. Speaking during Thursday's meeting of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee, Samuda argued that the FID already has the expertise to conduct such reviews through its fit and proper assessments in the financial sector. He also questioned whether parliamentarians should continue overseeing a body that in turn oversees them, and suggested changes to the structure of the Parliamentary Oversight Committee. Samuda further proposed that statutory declarations submitted by Integrity Commission commissioners and staff should also be examined by an independent external body, such as the FID or the Auditor General, to avoid any perception of a conflict of interest. Justice Minister Daryl also criticized the Integrity Commission, saying some of its questions to parliamentarians were overly intrusive. The Integrity Commission has consistently maintained that it is carrying out its duties in accordance with the Integrity Commission Act passed by Parliament in 2017. The Commission has submitted a raft of recommendations over the last several years to strengthen the legislative framework of the anti-corruption body. Meanwhile, a member of the Senate has joined the list of parliamentarians under investigation by the Integrity Commission for possible illicit enrichment and or submitting false information. According to the Commission's annual report tabled in Parliament on Tuesday, 6 members of Parliament and 1 senator are currently under investigation under the Integrity Commission Act. The report states that between April 2018 and March 2026, 14 MPs were referred for investigation for possible illicit enrichment or providing false information. Since then, 6 of those cases have been closed following investigations or preliminary inquiries. In one case, the Commission decided not to lay charges, while in another, it recommended that charges be brought. The report also notes that several councillors, heads of public bodies, and other public officials have been investigated during the same period. During the 2025-2026 financial year, the Commission referred 18 matters for investigation, with 10 actively pursued. It says all of those investigations remain ongoing at various stages. Overall, the Commission reported that 31 matters were completed or closed during the financial year. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is warning nightclub and entertainment establishment operators that they will face prosecution if they are found employing or harboring children. The warning follows an operation that resulted in a woman being charged with employing a 17-year-old at a nightclub. 2 other individuals were also charged on separate ganja-related offenses. Police say the operation targeted 2 entertainment establishments, during which more than 30 people were interviewed. 38-year-old Marsha Gay McLean has been charged under the Child Care and Protection Act with employing a child in a nightclub and using a child for conduct contrary to decency or morality. The police say they will continue to monitor entertainment venues and are urging operators to verify the ages of their employees. They also reminded business owners that employing minors in adult entertainment venues is a breach of the Child Care and Protection Act. Anyone with information about the employment of minors, human trafficking, or other illicit activities is being urged to contact the police. 2 teenage girls are in police custody following the alleged attempted murder of a 64-year-old man in St. Thomas. The girls, ages 15 and 14, have been booked on suspicion of attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and simple larceny. Police allege that the complainant arranged to meet the teenagers for a sexual encounter at a villa in Morant Bay during the early hours of July 5. Investigators say the girls purchased duct tape, knives, tarpaulin, and other items before the meeting. While inside a room at the villa, the man was allegedly stabbed several times in the face, neck, and back. Despite his injuries, he managed to escape and raise an alarm. The girls allegedly fled the scene in the man's motor vehicle before being arrested later that day. The man remains in hospital in serious condition. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. Follow us on X and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, turn on your notifications and subscribe today. I'm Karen Madden.